Dr. MARILYN TAM is a speaker, author, consultant, board-certified executive, corporate, and leadership coach, and founder and executive director of US Foundation. Formerly the CEO of Aveda Corporation, president of Reebok Apparel and Retail Group, vice president of Nike Incorporated, MARILYN has also is a successful entrepreneur and has developed and built 4 companies. From being a child laborer in Hong Kong to international business and humanitarian success, she is an inspiring example of what can be achieved if one follows their dreams. Brand Channel lists MARILYN TAM as one of the 4 most prominent names in ethical business globally. Welcome, MARILYN. MARILYN, there is this quote here that says that you're the business, ethics in business. And I'm just curious, what does that mean? What does that mean when we talk about conscious business and being ethical? It seems like it would be synonymous, but obviously every word has its own nuance. So I'm just curious your take on what that really means to you and how that relates to the conscious business journey.
Thank you. It's really something passionate for me. And you're right, there is a difference, it seems like, between what we consider ethical, meaning we don't hurt anybody that we know of. How many layers do we go out? And if we look a little further, a lot of traditional conventional businesses actually hurt other people, and not only just people, but the planet and everything else. And so when I would receive this notification that I was rated as one of the top 4 most ethical business, whatever the title was, I was actually surprised. I never applied for it or anything. It came completely out of the blue. And so I really had to think, what does it mean? Why did I get this? And what was that about? It's because I think I've always run anything I've done, whether it's a for-profit or non-profit, with, in the Native Americans, they talk about 7 generations. I took a look at a difference. Does it impact anything else that I can touch in some way? And I don't mean physically, but just energetically throughout the supply chain. So we're talking about things that really make a difference for I think everyone. So I look at it in the sense of having been on the other side, being a child laborer. So if we say, oh, we pay the standard wages of whatever place we're working in, but is that living wage? We start adhering to the age limits that they do in that country, but is that really reasonable? So we ask the harder questions. Oh, what we buy has not been sourced from something that has used child labor or slave labor or known pollutants. But what about the suppliers or the people who work with those people? So we'll take the bigger question of the impact. And when we support this particular organization, what are their values? So are they supporting something that we would not be happy with if the tables were turned? So the question is much bigger. And I'm grateful to say nowadays, these same questions are being asked by our consumers around the world more and more. What is the bigger impact of what we are consuming? What is the bigger impact of what we're producing? So for me, ethical means much more than I didn't hurt anybody that I know of in my immediate circle in doing whatever it is. How does it ripple out the whole way to the planet and even beyond?
Thank you. So ethics in the whole supply chain from beginning to end, not just in your office and the people that you're encountering, for example. Thank you, MARILYN.
I just do want to add, and also the consumer. Are we making a product that is going to hurt people,
Sure.
even though we might say it's, they're asking for it? That's not a good enough answer. It's like, is this something that truthfully is serving them?
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you. I think the question that's really coming through for me at this point is I think about conscious business, and someone listening to this call says, well, where can I start? And there's a lot of different perspectives, starting, if the leader of the organization isn't conscious, the whole thing's not going to be conscious. Oh no, it's a grassroots effort. You can start from the bottom and go up. Oh no, this, that, the other. So since it seems to be a real open field, right? There is no one way. Like you said, everything is connected. I'm just curious from each one of you. Raj, I'll go back to you since you were just speaking. You know, if you're going into a business, you're looking at a business, and for you, where would you start with helping a business be more conscious? What do you think is the first place?
Yeah. Well, I've had a fair amount of experience with this successfully and unsuccessfully as well. And I've come to realize, as you just said, that the consciousness of the leader places an upper limit on the consciousness of the organization that can exist. So if I get the sense from a leader who may have seen our financial performance data and said, oh, wow, that's going to make more money, so we're going to do this. And I would say, if you're doing it for that reason, it probably won't work. You know, you have to do this for the right reasons because it elevates people, right? It creates value for everybody and doesn't have victims and losers. It's a win-win approach. So if I get the sense that a leader is not there, their consciousness is still at that level of survival and success, right? Only, and not really looking at meaning and purpose and ultimately service to humanity, that it's not going to work. And I've seen organizations where there are pockets of the organization because there's a division or a branch that has a leader of this kind, and they'll create an oasis of consciousness and flourishing within that. But that doesn't last, and that doesn't, it doesn't trickle up, and it doesn't trickle sideways. Typically, when that person is gone, that thing is gone as well. So this, unfortunately, is a kind of thing that has to emanate from leadership. Leadership matters more than ever, because leaders now have the power to bring something like this about. Now, if they do, then we know that this is not an uphill battle. This is not something that people are resistant to. Once you get past their natural cynicism, because they've experienced many other things in the past that haven't really been true to what people say what they were. But once you get past that, people are really hungry and waiting. Everybody wants meaning and purpose. Everybody wants to be able to be their authentic self, their human self at work, right? So all of these things are naturally aligned with what human beings, are craving. And the journey then becomes a really joyful one. We're doing that with a big company right now, a $30 billion company in the petrochemicals area. And they're discovering a higher purpose. And once you have that leader or that kind of leadership mentality in place, then you start with the question around why do we exist? We start with purpose. As Simon Sinek's book said, start with why. I think that is an essential question. So why does the world need this company? What would be missed if we disappeared? What's our reason for being? And there's a process of how you do that. We do have a book that we finished. It's coming out in a few months. It's called The Conscious Capitalism Field Guide, which is exactly around this question. How do you implement conscious capitalism in any kind of business? Starting with where you are today and then implementing those 4 pillars over time.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you.